Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 17.20, Partytime. We are back.
Woo, party time! It's time for a party. Are you ready?
I am.
Alright. And without further ado, I guess we'll just slam into this. The past was being dismantled. Bang, bang, bang! Clad in his almighty absolution, Dracaena Cerulata, the dragon tore his way through the Titan automatic again and again. Previously, propelling himself like this had required the use of a killing art, but in this form it was his most natural mode of transportation. He kicked off of the air, sheer raw strength launching him in whatever direction he pleased. Bang, 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 bang! He tore off the Titan's other arm. He dove through the Titan's metal guts. Just for fun, he kicked off the Titan's head. This Titan had survived dormant deep below Nermut for so many decades, but now that it had encountered the dragon, its operating time was measured in seconds. The laughter of its conqueror swam across the wind, filling the desert with its powerful resonance. Clad in his absolution, even his voice was a force to be reckoned with. The dragon did not go unopposed, though. Wherever there were dragons, there would surely be those who thought themselves dragon slayers. The severed arm that was now strewn across the landscape was, of course, far too heavy for Dragoon de Fleur to hold, for any human to hold, but the same wasn't true of its shadows. Dragoon wrapped the black plane around itself like a rope and swung it towards the distant dragon, and, following its shadow path, the mechanical arm hurtled through the air in sympathy. The killing method was less befitting the slaying of a dragon and more suited to swatting a fly, but it would serve. No, it could serve, if it hit. The dragon twisted his body in midair, letting the attack pass right beneath him, and then began running down the length of the mechanical limb towards the ground. Behind him, the Titan collapsed for the last time, reduced to scrap by the dragon's tender attention. The dragon had paid it no mind. He was already moving on to the next amusement of the morning. Even gripped by the ecstasy of battle like this, he still had his reason. Now his enemies were three. His priorities were clear. He would have liked to destroy the unknown factor called Narari-Hyon first, but he had disappeared shortly after the Titan had emerged. Among the ones still available to the dragon, then, Dragoon de Fleur was clearly the greater threat. His martial skill was far superior to that of Don Hadrian, and he didn't use his ability as a crutch either. Besides, Don Hadrian had literally sold the clothes off his back. The dragon didn't have to worry about further usage of Scorpio contract. Is he naked right now?
Boxers only.
He's got the MMO fit on.
Yeah.
In his absolution form, the dragon's speed was a terror. He crossed 400 meters within 4 steps in 4 seconds, his arms flapping in the wind behind him, bearing upon Dragoon de Fleur before the boy could so much as register his approach.
Naruto running towards you.
Don Hadrian fired off that golden rule of his a few times during the dragon's charge, but all it accomplished was scattering his after-images. A wooden fist was pulled back. This was it. That frail body wouldn't stand up against one of the dragon's punches, even if de Fleur shielded himself with a shadow. It would be an inglorious end for such a glorious opponent, but sometimes that was just how things went. The dragon took the last step. "That's enough," and blue aether buzzed. When using his absolution, the dragon lost access to Libra imaging, so he couldn't see, but his other senses were sharpened enough that he could easily sense what appeared in front of him then. The ghost, the one that had vanished, Narari-Hyon. He was standing upside down in midair, defying gravity twice over, his face only inches away from the dragon's. 1 second he had been absent, and the next he had been right there. This wasn't a feat of speed or something like Scorpio contract. It was more like what the dragon had observed in Pandarshi's records of the original Dragon Hadrian, the recording-based ability called Gemini World. Narari-Hyon had waited until now to attack, until the dragon had voluntarily sealed away Libra imaging, and thus could no longer read Aether. Ha ha ha, the dragon thought, frozen in the moment of crisis. You've got some secrets, huh, buddy boy? The spectre raised a hand. Leo Rain. A beam of pure heat and force blasted out of Narari-Hyon's palm with a screech and poured ceaselessly into the front of the dragon's helmet. Smoke poured into the air. The scent of burning filled the nostrils of everyone present. The dragon willingly withstood the onslaught only for a moment before leaping back, turning on the defensive. As the dragon landed in the center of the destruction, amidst the Titan's grim remains, Narari-Hyon vanished and the beam abated. Only for a moment, though. There was another flash of blue to mark Nararihion's reappearance, now directly above the dragon, and the instant he appeared, he started firing the beam downwards. The dragon lifted his hands over his head, using his palms to catch and mitigate the damage from the attack, even as the pressure of the blast buried him into the stone up to his ankles. The ground around him began to melt and harden into glass, such was the ferocity of Nararihion's onslaught. The dragon understood it. Even without his third eye, he had experience to guide him, and so he could put together a pretty good guess at the mechanics of this ability. It was the kind of thing that charged over time, slowly gathering heat and force until the user was ready to unleash it like this. Perhaps Nararihion had been charging all throughout the battle so far. Perhaps he'd been charging even before then. Whatever the case, the strength he'd gathered was, he'd gathered was nearly a match for the defenses of the dragon's absolution. Golden Rule! As if that wasn't enough, that fly was still buzzing. The dragon grunted as the six-shot blast slammed into his side, but he didn't move from his bracing position. The beam was the true danger. Anything else was just a distraction. Besides, to tell the truth, he didn't think much of this Don Hadrian. It was clear that the guy was a rank amateur. Every attack he'd landed so far had been done with the aid of that gaudy aether armament, an ability that relied on money rather than skill. Pay to win.
Exactly, it's literally a pay-to-win ability.
Even worse, the way he used his golden rule was just embarrassing. He knew that 6 shots combined together were a strong combination, so he just spammed it over and over again without any real strategy. The dragon would be genuinely surprised if that moron had ever been in a real fight before without some henchmen backing him up. To think they were once the same person. Ugh. It made him cringe. Click, 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 click. Golden rule! The dragon grunted again as another shot smashed into him. This wasn't good. Damage was beginning to accumulate. Powerful as it was, his absolution could only hold up against constant and sustained assault for so long. Even if his armor remained intact, he inside would not. Dragoon de Fleur was moving too, using the same shadow trick as before. He grabbed the shadow of a hunk of debris and twisted it into a rope, before swinging it to hurl the metal chunk at the dragon. He had to do something before it hit him, before it knocked him out of his defensive stance. Nothing else for it. This would cost him some defense, but it would buy him time. The mouthguard of the dragon's absolution crumbled away, revealing his grimacing jaws beneath. He took a deep breath. The central conceit of absolution was that it sealed off any other aether abilities, providing a physical boost in scale to the sealed ability's potential and complexity. Strength, speed, durability, all of it was brought up to an entirely different level. If that was the case, then this too should have become something unbelievable. Killing arts! Fafnir! The dragon opened his mouth, and once again the dragon breathed fire. This time, the flames that poured forth from his mouth were so hot they burnt blue, spreading a sapphire sea of fire across the ground around him. The shadows Dragon de Fleur was relying on were blasted apart, the hunk of debris going wide into the distance. Don Hadrian, all but naked, was forced to retreat backwards as well, a stream of amusing expletives pouring from his mouth as he barely avoided the flames. Up above, still blasting, the thing called Nararihion showed its first sign of emotion, a simple click of the tongue. His serene blue eyes slid down to Dragoon. "Dragoon de Fleur," he said placidly, "your guardian entity isn't currently in use, is it?" Looking back up at him, the black-haired boy shook his head. Both he and Don Hadrian had been provided with 2 versions of the same guardian entity by Nararihion. Both had the said name.
Same name.
Yadagarasu, a Nerecrow with the simple ability to split apart into multiple bodies. Don Hadrian had been making liberal use of his guardian entity throughout the battle, but Dragoon de Fleur was yet to use his. "Acknowledged," Nararihion said calmly. "Entity assimilation. Yatagarasu." Dragoon de Fleur widened his eyebrows. "Huh?" Don Hadrian furrowed his brow. "What? Is this similar to their, combining?"
It's a similar sort of thing happens with this, yes.
I assume it's a takeover, though? Up until now, Nararihion, the only one of the group with knowledge of how guardian entities worked, had assured his comrades that, once he had bestowed an entity upon someone, he lost all ability to influence it further. Clearly that wasn't true. Dragoon de Fleur could feel it, the guardian entity that had been awaiting within his aether suddenly vanishing, as if snatched away by an invisible hand. And at the same time, 2 massive black leather wings burst out of Nararihion's back. As administrator of the Guardian Entity Network, this was one of the authorities that Nararihion possessed. He could recall one of the Guardian Entities he'd created and bestowed, devouring it in order to temporarily install its attributes into himself. In this case, the huge black wings, it should be wings, not winds,
Yeah.
a stark contrast to his pale radiance, were more aesthetic than anything else. The true value was in Yatagarasu's ability. Nararihyun intensified the force of the beam he was unleashing, and at the same time his body split. 2 bodies, 4 bodies, 8, 16. 16 copies of Nararihyun, each firing a burning beam at the dragon, each blasting ceaselessly from a new angle. Oh, so he didn't do anything to Dragoon, he just took it back.
Yeah.
Okay. Just like with the original Yatagarasu, their individual power was reduced, but the multiple firing points meant that the dragon was no longer able to focus his defenses in one area. The blue light combined from so many angles produced an aurora that left only the dragon's trembling silhouette visible. For a moment, Don Hadrian had seemed shocked by the revelation of Nararihyun's duplicity, but now, looking at his enemy's impending defeat, a wild joy took over. Laughing, he stood and threw out his arms, taking in the sight. "Yeah!" he screamed. "Get fucked, idiot! Who the hell did you think you were messing with? I'm Dragon Hadrian! Dragon Hadrian! You're nothing! Got that? Nothing!" He took a single step forward, grinning, ready to gloat some more. That was when it happened. Just before his feet could touch the ground, there was a blur of movement behind him, and a deadly flying kick. Snap! Collided with his back. Don Hadrian's mockery degraded into a high-pitched squeal as he was sent down to the ground face first, skidding across the rocks by his face and leaving a trail of red. The top half of his body twitched as he tried to rise, but found himself unable. Instead, the most he was able to manage was a glance over his shoulder with bloodshot eyes. "You!" he hissed. The dragon stood behind him, back in his regular form, grinning widely. I assume, is it wildly? Or is it meant to be widely?
Widely works too.
The sight before them all was absurd. There the dragon stood, having brought Don Hadrian down, and there the dragon stood separately, withstanding Nararihyun's attacks. There were 2 of him? What was this? Nararihyun lifted his hands, all 32 of them, and the attack stopped. The dragon he'd been attacking remained where it was, and now, without the shining light, all present could see the trick. Through the hole in the Absolution's mouthguard, nothing could be seen but darkness. It was an empty suit of armor. "You left your armor behind and tunneled underground." How? Nararihyun observed.
He got out. It's armor.
But how? Okay, so right, his body has to go down.
Yeah.
And his legs split in 2, right? So how did the middle part go down and keep the armor without...
What do you mean his legs split in 2?
So your legs are separated by your pelvis.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So how do you go down without
It's
breaking
similar sort of
the
mechanic to Ruth's set. It's not like he doesn't have to like undo it and take it off and everything. He just sort of abandoned it.
Right. But how... So he has to go down, right?
Yes.
So how does the middle part of him go down? Does he squeeze into one armor leg?
Like I said, it's more like it's an aetheral thing. He doesn't actually physically have to take it off. He can it spits him out, basically.
He phased through the pelvis.
Yeah.
Okay. I see.
And then he just like a mole. It's like...
I'll allow it. Nararihyun lifted his hands. Oh. My legs, Don Hadrian moaned on the ground. "I can't feel my legs." He went ignored. The dragon smirked, wiping some soot from his nose with a thumb. "That's right. Just because I take my absolution off doesn't mean I have to deactivate it, right? Until I send it away, it'll stay out wherever I left it. Pretty handy. Oh, speaking of which," he snapped his fingers, and the standing suit of armor unweaved into strands of blue aether. "Libra imaging," the dragon sighed, as if taking a bath after a long day. "Oh, that's the stuff. Let me tell you, it ain't gonna take me long to recover enough to put that thing on again, and you've pretty much shown off all your tricks. Besides, if I'm reading your chakra right..." As if on cue, the wings disappeared from Nararihyun's back. "Yep," the dragon nodded. "That ability doesn't last long, huh? Don't worry, though. We can keep going. Unlike you guys, I'm pretty confident in my stamina." 3 pairs of eyes stared at him, and 3 brains worked through how this fight would develop going forward. The result wasn't good. With one of their number down and their capabilities exposed, the chances of victory were growing smaller by the second. So they made the smart choice. Dragoon de Fleur fell backwards, disappearing into his own shadow, which swirled out of existence shortly after. The dragon frowned. "Seriously?" Nararihyun shot upwards like a white rocket. Fucking Imagine smoke trails, he's pointing his arms up. I'm gone, dude. Disappearing into the black sky above. Bright as he was, he mingled with the stars before fading from sight. The dragon scowled. Oh, come on, guys. Don't be boring. He swung around. Oh, hold on. Wait. Say that again. He swung around. At the very least, Don Hadrian wasn't going anywhere, right? He thought that, but that guy was gone too, even though he surely should have been paralyzed. The dragon turned his head upwards, tracking the chaotically fluctuating chakra of his last remaining target. Oh, that made sense. That was actually pretty clever. Dragoon de Fleur's guardian entity had been devoured, but the same wasn't true for Don Hadrian's Yatagarasu. He'd reduced the Nerecro to 2 bodies and had them lift him away by the shoulders, legs flapping in the wind below him as he made his airborne, nigh-naked escape. Even with this humiliating situation, though, his face was contorted with fury as he screamed down at the dragon. This isn't over, asshole! Got that? I'm coming back, and I'm going to kick your fucking ass! The dragon just frowned, shrugged, and crouched on the ground. Without missing a beat, he reached down and scooped up chunks of the broken glass their battle had left in its wake. Blue aether passed from his palm into the shards. In the distance, Don Hadrian's fury faded just a tad, replaced with unease. Wait, he muttered at the far-off shape. What are you? The dragon hurled his payload with all the force and fury of a sniper bullet, the glass shards carving crackling blue trails in the air behind them. Bang! There was only a split second to react. Don Hadrian's eyes bulged in terror. Don Hadrian's mouth distorted in dismay. The shot flew inches from his face and... Scorpio contract! It went right through the empty space where Don Hadrian had just been. But wait, do his crows get to move through time as well?
They count as part of his body, yeah. Because they're his guardian entity.
The dragon muttered as he shook the smoke from his hand. Guess he did have something left. What did he sell? Did he sell his boxers? Then he looked around at the mess their battle had left. The ground that had become glass. The torn-apart wreckage of the Titan automatic. The mesa that had been left to crumble like a child's tower of bricks. They really had done a number on this place. Sighing, spent, the dragon flopped onto his back and started making snow angels on the broken glass. But now, he wondered aloud, my ride's kinda long gone. Do I just walk home? So, said Dragana Hadrian, let's go over where we stand. As soon as Dragana had returned from her excursion into Zepan, she'd called everyone in Ward 8 to gather at the huge bonfire they'd constructed at its center, where the windmill had once been. Unlike basically everyone else in Ward 8, Dragana wasn't recognizable. She clearly had no qualms about gathering intelligence in person. Ruth suspected she also had some kind of ability that helped with that, but she wasn't certain. The captain just grunted, crossing his arms as he leaned back on a bench. I don't know why we're even entertaining this, he muttered, glaring from between his bandages. Dragana ignored his naysaying. It wasn't that difficult, given he'd been saying variations of that same thing ever since they'd come here from Ward 6. His heart definitely didn't seem to be in it. Altogether, we have 2 objectives, Dragana continued, counting them off on her fingers. Obtain permutation and defeat Zephyr Pandershi. Not defeat, Hazley spoke up, sitting with Worm and Muzazi. Kill. He needs to pay. Okay, you can kill him. That comes as part of defeating him, though, so it's basically the same thing. We need to get rid of Nyane, too. Oh, sorry. We need to get rid of Nyane, too. Rayanch was the next to speak up. He was huddled over in the corner, barely illuminated by the flames, his gaze distant and his skin clammy. He hadn't spoken in hours. To be honest, Ruth had suspected he hadn't even been listening up until now. Well, Dragana replied, still smiling despite the constant interruptions, if this Nyane guy works for Pandershi, we'll naturally end up facing them at the same time. So it's all basically the same thing. Anyway, it's fucked up. You made a Dragon that's a woman and then everyone talks over her, and it's fucked up. Confirmed misogynist Tanhone. You said one of our goals is to obtain permutation, she said seriously. This is Ruth, looking Dragana in the eyes. That's not true. Let me be clear. My goal is to bring the real Dragon back. I couldn't care less what happens to the actual sword. Dragon's smile faded.
Dragon is, that should be even.
Oh.
That was like
so there's
2 levels. Dragon's also there.
What's up, guys?
I just walked back to town. Is this the way in?
Oh, do you guys want to fight or something? Fuck.
That'd be so fun. He just appears in the middle of the conversation.
He's just like lighting up a joint like, fuck, blunt rotation. This is a nightmare blunt rotation, actually.
The variants.
Yeah. See, snorted the captain, but she ignored him. Let me be clear too, Miss Blaine, she said, speaking to Ruth with such unfamiliarity that it hurt. Those 2 goals I listed are a compromise that gets both of us things we want. This is a temporary alliance. Once you have what you want, and we have what we want, we'll go our separate ways. Then you're free to kill us as much as you like. It's not what you meant, Dragana said sharply, but it's what you said, and it's what we're going to act based on. Ruth took a deep breath. Damn it. The longer she was here on Nermut, the more twisted up her mind seemed to get. Everywhere she looked, there was a new absurd version of her friend who she wasn't even sure was her friend. Dragana's a soldier. Dragana's a priest. Dragana's a girl. She wasn't doing this right. She knew she wasn't doing this right. Nothing good would come of trying to barrel straight through this mess like this. She opened her mouth to say something, to reason, to negotiate, to apologize. But she had no words to say. There was a long, awkward silence, with only the crackling of the fire to provide some tiny respite. Based on the way you're talking, Miss Hadrian, Uzazi said awkwardly, I take it you have a plan to achieve these 2 goals. I do, Dragana nodded, turning away from Ruth. Leave it to Uzazi, the only one to be actively listening to a woman.
Listening
Good on you, Uzazi. He sat. Word is buzzing all around
on the ground. It looks like his hands on his slides.
Yeah, he raises his hand politely to speak. Word is buzzing all around Z-Pan. Director Pandershi has declared a grand reception is to be hosted in Oberon tonight. He's going to make some big announcement there. Citizens are being chosen by lottery to attend. She smiled. So, she said, shall we get ready for the party? What was her ability again?
We don't know yet.
Oh.
We know she's a hacker, though. She's the hacker, Dragon.
Hell yes. In the darkness of the city ring, in the shadows of a makeshift base, Don Hadrian twitched and gasped on a battered mattress. Basic examination had confirmed it. That kick had done some serious damage to his spine. He was paralyzed from the waist down. And if that wasn't bad enough, there was what he'd had to do in order to escape that last attack. I'm surprised, Narari Hyun said, not sounding very surprised at all, to think you'd rather sacrifice one of your kidneys than that aether armament. Is it worth that much to you? This is a gift from Old Man Fix, asshole. Obviously, Don Hadrian wheezed, his face pale as chalk as he hacked up blood. If I lose my best weapon, I'm a sitting duck, you fucking moron. His blood was boiling. There was nothing in this world worse than being humiliated, and now Don Hadrian had experienced that awful feeling twice in just as many days. The dragon, and that fucking swordsman, too. They'd both made fools of him. They'd made him look like a goddamn idiot. Well, that was fine. That was good, actually. They said vengeance was a dish best served cold, but Don Hadrian preferred his food piping hot. They'd both get theirs soon enough. They'd find out what happened when you made a fool out of Dragon Hadrian. A low, delirious giggle trickled out of his throat. Soon enough, yeah, soon enough. He'd visit all of this and more upon those who'd fucked with him. The sound of oozing shadows filled the apartment, and Don Hadrian looked up from his pillow with bloodshot eyes. The freak was back. His ability to hide in shadows made him a halfway decent spy, so they'd sent him out into Z-Pan to gather intelligence. Dragoon de Fleur came into the room, hunched over so deeply that he was almost crawling. Well, Don
Very
Hadrian
Igor
demanded.
core.
His words slurred from pain. Did you find anything? Did that asshole get back there? The freak wouldn't meet his gaze. Well, nobody was talking about that. At least among the normal citizens. The ones I could get to. Fucking useless, Don Hadrian muttered. But, Dragoon suddenly looked up, there's a party. Party. It's important. Party in Oberon. Narari Hyun raised a thin eyebrow. Whatever that man Pandershi discovered out in the wastes, he commented, it seems to be cause for celebration. They have all the surveillance and stuff, so, Dragoon mumbled, if we sneak in there, we can get all the information they have on the other Hadrians. They're sure to have plenty of information, I think, so... A stained red grin spread over Don Hadrian's lips as he finished Dragoon's thought. So you can hide in someone's shadow and let them walk you right in, he said. I don't know what kind of cameras they have in that place, but I doubt they can look inside people's shadows. Good! That's actually so good! I guess even a brain like yours can generate a good idea sometimes, huh? He chuckled, letting his head fall back so he could look up at the ceiling. We'll find out all about that dragon asshole, he whispered. What he's all about, his weaknesses, and next time things will go differently. He took a deep breath. That Pandurshi guy's meant to be a genius, too. I'm sure you can find something to treat my injuries there, too. In fact, that's the most important thing. Don't forget, freak. I won't. It's funny, because how would they gather information? Because this is a man who does not exist. He's imaginary. There's no one to interrogate.
He's working for them, so presumably they have, like, a file.
Oh, yes. This is the guy we found. He is very strong. My masterwork. You don't have any abilities to heal yourself with? Nararihion asked casually. Don Hadrian shook his head. No, Leo Rain. A single bolt of blue light flew from the tip of Nararihion's finger and pierced Don Hadrian's skull from right between his eyes. His head slid off of the pillow and onto the wooden floor with a moist thump. Smoke poured out from behind his eyeballs. He had died so quickly, there hadn't even been time for outrage. It was an uncharacteristically painful death for the entitled man called Don... Oh, peaceful death for the entitled man called Don Hadrian. Blue aether crackled around the corpse, flashing once, twice, and when the light cleared, the corpse was no longer that of Dragon Hadrian. It had returned to its original form. A featureless homunculus was now strewn across the floor, blood slowly pouring from the hole in its head like wine from a barrel. As the blue aether trickled over to the hem of his kimono, Nararihion lowered his hand. Dragoon de Fleur blinked. Huh? So I have a question.
Yeah?
No, let me save it for after I finish this. Hold on. Huh? He mumbled before looking at Nararihion and repeating. Huh? Nararihion met his gaze. What? He said. He was used up. So, my question. Nararihion was Dragon up until, like, Arc 5.
Yes.
He has Gemini World. He's been using that.
He has a version of it, yeah.
Oh, so it's not called Gemini World?
No.
Okay, so it is 1-to-1 up until Arc 5. I was going to say, did he just, fully abandon...
He got into Arc 5, but from there it might have been different.
Did he, like, fully abandon Gemini Shotgun for Leo Rain? Is he like, fuck that useless ability?
It's a new version of it. Basically what he does, he gets the stuff, but he just takes the kinetic energy and heat from it and stuff, and then just, like, deletes the actual objects. So he can do, like beams and shit.
That's so much more efficient.
That's why he's all, like... Because he's got the computery mind now.
I love how base Dragon's, like, upgraded ability was, let me do it a bunch of times really fast. That's crazy. Is our Dragon the dumbest Dragon aside from Don Hadrian?
I'm not seeing any of the Supreme Dragons.
I mean, I guess, but he's like supreme in quotation marks.
What do you mean he won?
Yeah, because he had fucking Panacea. Dude, if the dragon had Pan in his body...
If he didn't have Rika, he wouldn't be so strong.
Okay, but the dragon with Pan in his body, dude?
He doesn't have Pan in his body.
But if he did, what would you even do against him? It's like, oh my god, I've thrown everything away I have, and I finally broke through the armor and hurt him, and then he insta-heals? What would you do?
Just have to destroy him all at once.
Pan would probably live a much happier life, because she wouldn't be working all the fucking time.
Yes, she fucking would. He'd be going into shit even crazier.
She would be I switched it to Omami and I blew my fucking legs off.
To show off. He would aura farm like Kimosamer.
Don Hadrian's like, just you wait.
I tore my ear off to show you I can regenerate it. Pan, give me my 6th ear this day.
Pan, fix my eyes.
It's like, actually, when you got me, you already had the eyes gone. It's like, oh.
Poor guy. Alright, where are we? Here's where I need to go. Aetheral questions. Alright, we have 2 more questions. You ready?
Yes.
Alright, Rurum asks, was the longest chain of Hereditary Supremes 2, as seen with the Zez to Piala and Helis Audrey to Renee?
Yes, it's the Hereditary Supremes rarely... I'll say, I won't say rarely, they only ever go on for 2.
Okay. No one's ever made it a 3rd generation.
No. Something always happens. At that point, they were like, I'm getting sick of this family.
Rurum asks, did Helis Audrey predict the outcomes of her permutation variance battles?
No, she did it intentionally because she did not know. The idea is like, I'll do this to myself, and whichever version of me is best will now proceed with my life afterwards.
It is said that Helis Audrey used the permutation ritual twice. When did those occur in relation to her becoming supreme, marrying her husband, having her kids, etc.?
One of them would have been before becoming supreme, and one of them would be after having her kids, shortly after.
How did her husband feel about the whole permutation ritual thing? If any happened during their marriage, did he still see the new Helis Audrey as the woman he loved?
Yeah, this is Oshi.
My question is, did changed Helis Audrey still love her husband?
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
They were happily married.
Happy end. Fuck them kids.
Yeah, they just didn't love the children.
That's so funny. I don't think I've ever seen that dynamic in media where it's like a healthy, loving marriage, but they just both hate their kids.
They were like, please don't make us kill each other. I was like, ew.
Usually it's like the kids ruin it, but no, they just like bond over their hatred for their kids. That's awesome.
They were part of the same like adventuring party before she became Supreme, so the day ones.
Hell yeah.
It's a hard one if you don't think about the child abuse.
I don't think there's any good parents in Aetheral Space. They're always like getting involved in their crime families, or strangling their kids, or abandoning their kids, or making their kids kill each other. I don't think we've seen one good parent. Even Musashi, it's like, oh, who is Negan's parents? Who cares? He has a sister, I guess.
Musashi's mom, Gretchen.
Gretchen Hale. Yeah, also not a good parent. Yeah, name one good parent in Aetheral Space. I'll wait. It's very anti-natalist to the galaxy.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck.
It's like the culture's fucked up, I don't know why. Anyway, when's the next Dawn contest?
Alright, well thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Bye.